What's going on, everybody? Okay, makes it easier to share. Should probably adjust to live chat. It appears to be working, so. It appears to be working, so. All right. Cardano Outreach. Be nice to see Paribus sell NFTs to allow the users to redeem for tokens 1,000, 100,000, even 1 million PBX. Innovate. Would have to be manual process for now. Offer NFT staking. Thoughts. What are my thoughts? I think the NFT staking thing presents a problem for anything to deal with KYC, anything to deal with like Paribus Pro. So there would need to be a lot to consider when it comes to that. And I'm not talking about like the ability. I'm talking about like could this impact licensing in other countries, especially European countries? Could this impact those things down the road? And then there's infrastructure, artists. I'm sure that the artist thing, the whole like artists and rights and things like that could be pretty easily worked out. I think that'll probably be the easiest part. But the other stuff surrounding that, I think you'll run into issues there. I think that will be a big roadblock. Is it worth thinking about? Yeah, I've talked about it. Like, I think in an early AMA, I think I asked the team about NFTs, like minting NFTs or doing Paribus mints. So say they partner with an artist, sort of like how Jiro did. They partnered with a known artist, a known NFT project, and they created kind of a mashup or a partnership, and then they launched those. I think Charlie 3 did that as well. So something like that would be cool. But the problem is, we're not talking about Haskell or Plutus. We're talking about a Solidity. So it'll be a little bit different. I don't know if anyone's doing that on Solidity, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. But yeah, that would be one of those things that would probably take you away from your roadmap a little bit, honestly. I think it would definitely take away from the roadmap. I think that would be really cool, though. I think they should plan for something like that. At least allow Paribus to mint NFTs that are stakeable, or mint NFTs that you can automatically borrow and lend with, because of a predetermined, pre-negotiated partnership. In a floor, like how in the Cardano space NFT scene, they sweep the floor. Now, what if the project using staked funds or using fees sweeped their own floor, did things like that, not to manipulate the price, but to hold a minimum threshold for the price of an NFT. I think stuff like that. I hope they're talking about and thinking about things like that. I think it's pretty innovative, especially with Giro doing it completely on Plutus. I don't see it as a problem on Solidity, but Solidity is different, but it should be capable of doing things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. The Cardano outreach mentioned. Also, hopefully they don't tweet too much and this didn't get buried. But they made a tweet this week that was pretty cool. This one right here says, I don't know if you guys saw this, but you voted, we listened. As a result of your vote, we added PBX to our treasury in hopes of breaking away from Catalyst. Today, in line with your vote, we made a donation to myself in recognizing his hard work and contribution to spreading the good news about Paribus. And then they put Ethereum 2.0 finally ships. Oh, man. Looks like Paribus responded. We appreciate all of the support and input. It's amazing to see community involvement on this level and being united in the mission to make Paribus the best protocol it can be. I like it. That's cool. That is really cool. Not gonna lie. Let's check out the last couple of posts. We got the Hacken. So they put out the testnet applications, of course. So you can go ahead and use Google Docs to apply for that if you do qualify. So you'll need to be a staker or an ambassador. But the Hacken audit success. Let's take a look at this here. And it opens up to a PDF document we can take a look at together. Let's see here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. No one's really talking in the chat, so let's go full screen on that. Maybe even bigger, a little bit bigger. No, it's not too full Chrome. Yeah, let's go a little bit bigger. All right, smart contract code review and security analysis report. So this stuff can get pretty heavy, so I'm not going to go. It's 16 pages. It's not too bad. This document may contain confidential information about IT systems, the intellectual property of the customer, as well as information about potential vulnerabilities and methods of their exploitation. The report containing confidential information can be used internally by the customer, or it can be disclosed publicly after all vulnerabilities are fixed upon a decision of the customer. So they're basically saying, hey, if you release this stuff before you get it fixed, you can get wrecked. So that's what that's about. So that kind of explains like why Paribus wasn't, putting stuff out. Similar to like MinSwap. When MinSwap, it's kind of a culture. You announce that you're doing your audit, right? You send away for your audit. The auditor does their audit. They send back a report. You take that report. You fix the things. I want to say a lot of projects have kind of set this tone of being transparent throughout this process, right? So there's pros and cons to this, pros and cons to both. And I like Paribus's approach to doing this. I really thought it was risky for people to kind of go, oh, okay, here's the report. This is the stuff that they found. We're going to fix it this week. And it's like, okay, so it's a race against the clock. Who can fix it? Who can figure out how to hack it before you get to fix it? And I always thought that that was so weird. I want to say, who did that? I think it was MinSwap that might have done that. I want to say it was a Cardano native, like a Haskell project that did that. They basically said, hey, we're sending away for the audit. And then when the audit was, when they returned with the issues, they put that report out. And I'm like sitting here looking at the report. I'm like, if I were like a really good coder, and I can figure out, what these issues are, I could essentially launch an exploit on the protocol and break it or steal, because they haven't fixed it yet. So it's like this race against who can do what first, which I thought was just silly. And then with that, MinSwap had that issue where Wing Riders was able to basically say, hey man, we could have stolen all of your stuff. But of course, they were good guys and they told them about it and they were able to fix it and all was well. But I think there's something to learn from that. It's just a pointless vulnerability in itself to disclose your Hacken audit or any audit before it's 100% complete. After the fact is one thing. During, it didn't make much sense to me. And I know people love transparency, but to a fault, I don't think it's good for anyone. Knowing that they're doing the audit is good enough for me. I know there were people in the chat in Telegram freaking out because they didn't get the PDF document when they sent it away, and it's just like I don't understand why you're upset about that. It doesn't make much sense. Just be easy. Do your thing. You'll be okay. Let them work. Let them do what they do, and we'll be okay. So that's kind of where I thought it was a silly kind of a culture that we were setting for ourselves. But let's take a look here. Introduction and scope are first. The scope, they have some smart contract for, of course, borrowing and lending, pretty standard issue. It's all Solidity, so it's .sol. They've got, links to the light paper and then technical descriptions. They do have this GitHub, but I don't know how much stuff is on there. I know a lot of their stuff is proprietary, but all of this stuff is these are the contracts. Second scope review. This is all of the things that they're going to be looking at, and the Solidity and the JavaScripts, JS tests. This is all boring. Let's get to the good stuff. Critical, high, medium, low. We've talked about this in other audit reports. What these risk levels mean. Critical vulnerabilities are usually straightforward to exploit and can lead to asset loss or data manipulations. High level vulnerabilities are difficult to exploit. However, they also have significant impact on smart contract execution, public access to critical functions. So like denial of service type of attacks where someone overloads, overprocesses, slowing down the protocol or causing the protocol to halt. That would be typical high risk level stuff. Medium vulnerabilities are important to fix. However, they cannot lead to asset loss or data manipulation. So I'm not really sure of what a type of an example of an exploit that would be medium, because when we see these types of things go mainstream in the crypto world, it's typically a high or a critical risk level thing. I guess sometimes you can compile, medium and low together to get to maybe a high. But we typically just see the high. When that happens, they just report on the high risk level thing. Medium level vulnerabilities are important to fix. Okay. Low level vulnerabilities are mostly related to outdated, unused, etc. code snippets that cannot have significant impact on execution. So like, double speak essentially, lines, scripts, things that aren't necessarily needed. Say they do an update and they add functionality, and then that functionality, the old functionality, is left there with basically a bridge to nowhere type of thing. You want to get rid of that stuff. Make sure you don't have extra code laying around. documentation quality, code quality. All right, customer provided superficial functional requirements and technical requirements. The total documentation quality score is a 5 out of 10. The score measurement details can be found in the corresponding section of methodology. Let's check that out. Score, okay. Let's go over score. Document quality D. Documentation quality, code quality, architectural quality, security level. Each metric has its own weight in a total score. Score is a decimal value with 1 decimal point. Score may be between 0.0 and 10.0. So basically 0 to 10 is the system. Maximum weights for each metric: D1, C1, A1, S7. So document, code quality, architectural quality, and security level. So since security is the main focus for these audits, it's weighted the heaviest. So, if you see document quality is really low, or document quality is, a D or a C, don't look at that and think, oh my gosh, they're terrible at what they're doing. Sell my tokens. It's weighted at a 1. It's not that big of a deal. And they're saying that it's not that big of a deal. Code quality, again, it's 1. It's 1 point in the weight. Not that big of a deal. Architecture quality, same deal. 1. They're important somewhat together, but the main thing here is security level. Your funds being safe. That is a 7. So that's what they're saying. So don't look at, this and go, oh my gosh, they got a 1 out of, 10. It's like, that's not the case. You're okay. So code quality, 7 out of 10. That's fine. That's not that big of a deal. Architecture quality, 10 out of 10. Follows best practices. To do comments, unit tests were provided. Yeah, they're good. They're good to go on code quality. Security score. As a result of the audit, security engineers found 2 medium severity issues. 1 medium issue was fixed and 1 remained. The security score is 10 out of 10. All found issues are displayed in the findings section. Summary. According to the assessment, the customer smart contract was the following score: 9.2. Not damn bad. Let's see. We have audited provided smart contracts for commonly known and more specific vulnerabilities. Here are some of the items that are considered. Just going to go ahead and check, make sure we don't have any comments or anything. All right. Hey, winner, crypto winner, what's up? What is up? Let's see if that pops over in our little our cam. Yeah, it does. That's cool. All right, I'll leave that there so that we can see. Default visibility, type, description, functions, and state vulnerabilities. Visibility should be set explicitly. Visibility levels should be specific consciously. They passed. All right. Integer overflow and underflow. They passed on that. Outdated compiler version. It is recommended to use a recent version of the Solidity compiler. Oh, that's an easy one they got dinged on. You just have to make sure you just use the latest software, essentially. Just, do your software updates. Floating paradigm. Contracts should be deployed with the same compiler version and flags that have been tested thoroughly. Looks like they didn't do that, so they got dinged on that. If they didn't get dinged on that, maybe they would have got a much higher score. And that's just something that's just like, it's one of those, what do they call those things? It's not like critical, but it's like, come on, that's just a practice. That's just something that you should just do normally. If you're not doing that normally, then you'll make the mistake, right? If you're not keeping yourself, you're not updating your software, when you open your browser, especially Chrome these days, and you see that update in the corner, just do the update. That's all it's about. Uncheck call, return value. They pass that. Access control, authorization pass. Self-destruction instruction. The contract should not be destroyed until it has funds belonging to users. That passed. Insert violation, proper functioning code should never reach a failing assert statement. Pass. It passed all this stuff. This is good. Authorization through transaction.origin. Passed. Block values as a proxy for time. Block numbers should not be used for time calculations. They passed that. What? I can't remember what audit report we were looking at where they had a problem with that. They're like, don't. It might have been Paribus's smart contract for their staking. Might have been what it was. Random value should never be generated from chain attributes. That's not relevant. A lot of this stuff is just real. It's just coding. Flash loan attack. That's something that we see is very common. When working with exchange rates, they should be received from a trusted source or an oracle and not be vulnerable to short-term rate changes that can be achieved by using flash loans. Oracles should be used. Exactly. See, get those from oracles. This happens when you are being lazy or trying to cut corners or just trying to save money. Like, instead of doing the right thing, like paying for oracle data, you try to grab information from a static source. And then if you have a bunch of funds, and you can do a flash loan and, trick the protocol into releasing funds at a certain price threshold, that's wrong. Then yeah, you get those flash loans. You get to steal money, essentially. You can just keep on taking out these loans and just stealing the money from everybody. That's happened with a bunch with Solidity. So very, very important to make sure flash loans are not possible. Gas limit in loops. Transaction execution cost should not depend on dramatically on the amount of data stored on the contract. There should not be any cases when execution fails due to the block gas limit. Yeah, that would make sense. That would be bad. Style guides and best practices should be followed. Fail. Custom style guide violations. System overview. The Paribus protocol is an Ethereum smart contract for supplying and borrowing assets. Though the P token contract account on the blockchain supply capital, Ether or ERC20 tokens, to receive P tokens or borrow assets from the protocol holding other assets as collateral. The Paribus P token contract tracks these balances and algorithmically set interest rates for borrowers. The core contract in the Paribus protocol: P tokens, ERC20 or Pether, the Paribus P tokens, self-contained borrowing and lending contracts. P token contains the core logic and perk 20s. You can just call it perk 20 and Pether. Pether add public interface for ERC20 tokens and Ether respectively. Each P token is assigned an interest rate and risk model and allows amount to mint supply capital, redeem withdraw capital, borrow and repay a borrow. Each P token is an ERC20 compliant token where balances represent ownership of the market. So I'm assuming these are like pools. This is what they're basically saying in short. Oh no. Oh, something was going on with this document. Freaking out a little bit. Paribus is a governance token. We were talking about that in the chat the other day. Interesting rate model contracts which define interest rate models. Those models are algorithmically determine interest rates based on current utilization of the given markets. That is how much of the supplied assets are liquid versus borrowed. Interesting. But critical, they didn't find any critical or high. They just found the medium. Unfinished code. To do comments in the code. This indicates that the code is not yet complete. Contracts, liquidator, comptroller, reservoir, Chainlink price oracle. So I guess they're going to use Chainlink. Recommendation: complete the code to meet all requirements and delete the to-do comments. So I don't know what the deal is for this. They haven't gone over the contract. I don't think they do. A lot of A lot of projects don't. I think it would be beneficial if they did, though. I don't know how busy they are. Maybe have this is what I would do if I was Paribus, if I was with them, if I was a part of their company. I would say, hey, let's take our the guy that they have doing, you know, their social, take the guy that's doing their community engagement, their ambassador, and then maybe a senior developer, take some time out, do a Twitter space, or you know, maybe do a live on YouTube, and then kind of just go over this stuff, talking about, you know, the whys. You know, I would have definitely have at least, oh, my headphones died, at least done it to allow for so people won't freak out about the grading, because the grading, if you look at it and you're not really sure what's going on, you're going to think that Paribus has done a bad job or done something wrong when they didn't. So I would at least do it for that. But they didn't. Most protocols don't. I think it's just bad culture. Personally, I would just do that. But yeah, I just wanted to go over the audit really quick. I didn't feel it was like big enough deal to do a dedicated static video on it, so I figured I'd just go live, plus also test my live setup a little bit. So that's why we're here. But thank you for everybody that's stopped by and checked it out. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.